Hey, it's Zim, and should you play Slipways? Now, I was really excited for this game when I first heard it coming out, probably a few months ago now. And so I was really looking forward to it. And when I started, I got a pretty sour taste in my mouth from this game. I think the initial impressions this game kind of gives you are not great. Now, I'm going to explain why, but this is your starting screen, other than you probably don't have the continue last run button. And then you have a learn to play. And I thought, oh, that's going to start you on a tutorial. But no, it's going to bring you to these screens here. And each of these kind of go over the systems in the game. And I thought, okay, that's something to help remind or refresh you. But I'm sure there's a tutorial in the game. So I hit start game. And it won't do it for me now because I've already played a couple games. But for your very first time of hitting start game, it actually brings you up to a screen saying, hey, we're actually going to put you in a quick play game. It's going to skip some of the starting customization, and it's the best way to learn. And so I thought, great, let's do that. And what screen it brings you to isn't great. So I'm going to go ahead and jump you to your initial impressions if you hit start game and you allow the quick play to happen. All right, and this is the screen it brings you to. Then a little pop-up will happen in the corner where it'll kind of tell you, like, hey, this is the game, and if you want to learn to play it, just hit this button, which just brings you back to the how to play screens. Now, for me, I definitely learned by doing. So it's pretty frustrating for a game with so much polish. This game is very polished. The soundtrack is great. The visuals are great. There's tiny details you probably don't notice at first when you're first learning this game that they just decided not to give you a tutorial. They're like, nope, they can just read it. So half the time, as you're trying to learn this game, you're going to come back to these menus because you're going to be reading through, all right, that's how I do this, this is how I do this, jump back into the game, and then something's going wrong and you're losing value, or happiness in this case, and you don't understand why, or your trade connections aren't working correctly, and it's just frustrating. So I think this game could really use a tutorial, and I don't understand why it doesn't. Here, I'm going to show you an action, which is to reveal planets, and I do have a problem with this as well. But we'll reveal some planets, and here is where you start to develop your slipways. So you're going to start colonizing planets and connecting them to trade back and forth with resources and continue to build up a society that is thriving and profitable. Now, as you click on these planets, they each can do different things. Right now, we have no action with this desert planet, but there's research, which is kind of the heart of this game, honestly. Like, a lot of the cool things can be done is through research. There might be research that you have available to make certain planets viable, or even asteroids. And then once you start building, you will be able to start... Cut that. Now, we want to find a planet that we can start growing people on, because people are kind of important. And here's kind of my biggest problem with this this probe that we're doing. It's got this like ring that kind of comes in and then comes out again, and it just makes the game more finicky than it needs to be. Like, this doesn't need to happen. It can just give me the maximum range, right? Even if it's smaller than what the in and out is. It's just kind of an extra finicky thing that sometimes if you're not paying attention or you're clicking too quickly, that you just end up messing up an additional planet, and like it just doesn't feel like it needs to be there. But perfect. We've found some people. As we colonize, more of the universe map opens up, and we can start building on other planets. So we are producing people. That's what this right-hand side means, and what this planet wants to continue to grow and be better are these resources here. So in this case, mineral and food. Makes sense. People want to eat. So this person, or this planet, I should say, wants a person, and it will give back ore. So if we connect them, look at that. They're working in harmony. We sent a person over, and they sent ore back. Now, of course, if let's say we don't have this green that provides food, we can still take the food resource. It will still generate for us. However, it won't generate anything more until we get it what it wants, which is in this case biomass. You also notice a flag over this planet. It was originally over there. That's actually telling you whether or not that planet is currently struggling. It goes away once it's established, and then you can also get successful and I believe it's thriving. Throughout the game, you'll also be presented with tasks. Now, because you don't start with customization in your very first mission, it kind of just throws the stuff at you and you don't understand it, and it says you won't understand it, which isn't a great way of learning. Like there's so much I don't understand about why it just didn't give you a full-on tutorial. In this case, we will just choose these. Because it could have just started you out in a system, told you, oh, explore here, using a probe, already had a pre-map set up to where it, oh, let's generate people. All right, we need to feed those people. And then kind of guided you one step by one step to really help understand what this game is trying to get at. But it doesn't do that, and I don't know why. I feel like it really leaves a negative experience, at least in my opinion, when you first play, because you're just constantly stopping and going, all right, well, why do I have a red flag, and why is my happiness now, negative 1% and 96%, and like it gets frustrating. But this is the entire game. This game is very similar to Dorf Romantik. If it's a very much like a score system puzzle game, right? High RNG in terms of like what these planets can be, including some of these aren't even planets, they're asteroids or nothing. That's a very big possibility as well. There's also RNG in terms of the factions, but you're trying to get your highest score, and then once you complete, it's 25 years, you'll get a score ranked out of stars with positives and negatives. And the game is basically played on a score system. Very similar to Dorf Romantik or Islanders before it. I think the game has some interesting decisions to make, but I think it also has a lot more RNG than like Dorf Romantik and Islanders, because you don't get to see what's kind of coming up. At least Dorf Romantik will like show you your next few tiles. In this, like, you really are just trying to hope that these planets are going to give you what you want. And once again, I'm not a big fan of this kind of in and out circle that you have to try to time, which really is just kind of a time waster because it's not that difficult. All right, so we're back at the main screen here, and we're going to hit Start Game. Now, this is kind of your main menu. Once you hit that, you're going to be brought to this. And as you can see, we have Endless, which is something a game will end normally if your happiness drops too low. In Endless, that's just not going to happen. You're just going to be able to play around with different things. I don't feel like I ever want to do this. I feel like most of the time you can try different things out in a standard run than an endless run. Standard run is what you're going to have to play at first, because these two are locked off. Now, once you get 3 stars or better, you unlock campaigns, which is basically just challenges with a little bit of story tied to them. And then ranked is where you're going to be able to compete with other people and kind of ladder boards, which is cool. Leaderboards. We're going to go ahead and jump in. And so we can choose our sectors here. And then quirks are essentially additional difficulty or different challenges. You won't be able to enable quirks until you once again beat... at least I think it's a 3-star for that one as well. Throat does not want to work with me today. It's kind of pissing me off. Alright, so once we choose our sector, and once again you can choose your difficulty up at the top, and you can also re-roll these sectors if you want. Choose another random sector of a type. You'll be brought to this screen where you get to choose your 3 races and 2 perks. Now, all races will offer a technology tree, or what they're adding to your technology tree, as well as 2 perks. What they don't tell you is these 2 perks are random for no reason. So, if we look at the different races, they all have 2 perks, but they actually have, and based on what I can tell at least, 4 perks. These are randomized every time you randomize your seed. So, let's say we choose scholars from these guys. Next time, if I choose them again for my next run, they might not offer me scholars, which can be pretty confusing because the game doesn't tell you why it does or doesn't. It just lets you figure it out, which is weird. So yeah, like right now they offer scholars and researchers, and at first I thought maybe that was tied to who else you brought alongside you, but that's not the case, which would have been far more interesting than just purely random. But if we choose a different sector here, it's offering me careful observation and scholars. So we saw that the other one got changed. Once again, I don't know why they would choose to do that. If they have 4 perks, just let them choose which perk that they want, because they're already limited by 2. Unless you feel like some perks are way too good, and in that case, what stops me from just keep re-rolling my seed until I get the perk that I want? And the answer is nothing. So it's kind of frustrating with the perks here. I mean, those are my biggest problems with this game, is its unwillingness to actually teach you how to play, its aloofness in teaching you any of the real game systems or faction stuff. Overall, the game is fine. It's fun. I enjoy it. Do I enjoy it more than Dorf Romantic? Probably not. Like I said, the quality in this game is definitely here. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you've checked out the game and what your experience was with it, or if there's a game that you think I should check out. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe as well. It helps me out a lot. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you later.